Welcome back to Feel Good Breakfast Show Expresso here on S3. And let's review a game, shall we? Now, Suicide Squad, I'm sure you watched the movies. There were two. The first one was, second one, okay. But I believe a game was needed, and that's why Kill the Justice League was brought to mind. Now, it's made by the brains behind Batman Arkham series, and this is a game that we need to see because Grant has reviewed it, he's played it, and I want to check in to see if this is something that we should be adding to our collection. Grant, first of all, good morning, my brother. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm okay.
Here we go.
I'm a little, like, you don't often hear me say this about games, but Rocksteady are the developers behind Kill the Justice League. And I love Rocksteady games.
Yeah.
Everything that they've produced up until now has been absolute gold. So when they announced this game, they haven't made a game in like 9 years since the last previous one. So they announced this game, the work looked, like what they put out looked amazing. But what they've delivered is a looter shooter like Destiny, but not what it's not good. It's not good. But there are some parts of it that are redeemable. So it's a looter shooter with a perpetual world. The story is very interesting. You play the Justice League. You can hot swap between all of them. So if I...
Oh, that's cool.
I'm already on a mission. Sorry, I was going to show you how I can hot swap between
Were you Captain Boomerang at the moment?
I'm Captain Boomerang right now. And you can use your abilities to traverse the map. So check this out. So I can use this ability to like then teleport over here. And you feel really cool doing a lot of these abilities. So you go like, wow, this is rad.
Yeah.
But when you're Harley, you swing like Spider-Man, but not as cool as Spider-Man. So it doesn't feel as nice. Like here's Harley. Harley's going to swing. And it's just not as nice as Spider-Man. And then you play the Justice League that are being controlled, right? Like, as is always the case.
Yes.
Because Brainiac has taken over the Justice League.
Yeah.
And they are now evil. And as a result, you've got to stop them as Suicide Squad. And it's a very cool story, and really interesting things happen. I'm actually not going to spoil it for anybody. Oh, there we go. I've got to recover. As you can see, it looks really cool, feels really cool, but it's so repetitive. And the story is so interesting that I was just wishing that they would go and try something a little bit more, like, cooler and different. And if you've ever played a Rocksteady game, they always take risks. People always like to think of Hideo Kojima as the developer that takes a lot of risks, and he is probably one of the first big AAA ones that do that kind of thing. But I think Rocksteady is the next generation of that. They've done really cool things inside a lot of their games, which, you know, a lot of developers would never do, especially in a Batman game.
So I've heard people compare this to one of those Marvel's Avengers type of things, because you can hot swap, as you mentioned, a couple of characters to play in between, a narrative that kind of is shared between many characters on the same side. So why were their reviews so connected? Was it only because of the multitude of characters they can play between?
It's because they're looter shooters, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's just where superhero games are right now. Like, wait, I gotta... It's also, the controls are a little bit complex because not only do you have to remember your single character that you probably main. I like Boomerang the most. I think he's got the most interesting traversal is the way you get around the map.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that for a whole bunch of other heroes too, which is very annoying. But I think once you get into it, it would be very cool. So back to the Avengers thing. I think Avengers is a more interesting mission structure.
Okay.
So with these games, a very important part of their longevity is their mission structure. So what you play doesn't feel repetitive. The story is progressed in interesting and creative ways. And what you play pushes the story further in interesting ways. This is, when I say looter shooter, these villains are all the way through. This is towards the beginning of the game. These villains are all the way through to the end of the game. You know what I mean?
Okay, so they are all the way, and I mean, as you go along, I'm sure power-ups, etc., that is possible between characters?
Yes, but again, I don't think that they feel as cool as they would. So the weapons get a bit stronger, but none of the traversal stuff, the things that make this game interesting, like Boomerang, this is so cool. Being able to throw your boomerang, teleport to it, mid-air, be able to do it. You feel like a hero.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But then that never improves, which is so weird to me. It's just like, why take the best part of the game and not make that like the actual improvement? Instead, they've made like the weapons, which are like a sniper rifle and a shotgun, those things which are kind of boring in a superhero world, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a Spider-Man game released recently, and I mean that Spider-Man 2 game was, and now to bring in this, you have to know what you're up against. In my opinion, like
Yes!
Spider-Man 2 was. Gameplay-wise, free world, it was you could be out of a mission and still enjoy the game.
Yes.
So with this one as a final verdict, what are we thinking here? With this being in the other superhero game universe, where does this one sit?
Okay, it's disappointing to say this, but as it stands right now, it's not a great game.
Okay.
But it is a looter shooter with the potential. There's all these upgrades. Joker's been teased as a playable character, as DLC, and that's all going to be free later.
Alright.
So what the game eventually becomes, remember a lot of these games
Yes.
are games as services, could be interesting.
Okay.
But we're going to have to see. As it stands right now, it's not as cool as it should be. And Rocksteady, I love you. I love you guys. And I'm just really disappointed. When I saw the first trailer for this, I was losing. I went to Jess. I was freaking out. I was like, this is going to be brilliant. This is going to be, my expectations are here. And I think that's maybe part of it. They just dropped the ball, man.
Wow.
Big time.
All right. Well, thanks to honesty, and that's what we need when it comes to reviews. I can't wait for the Madam Web review a little bit later. That'll be fantastic. However, that's it over there. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. You can play it if you want to play it and you want to weigh in. Please hit us up on social media. We'd love to hear what you think of this brand new game.